I've just noticed I just need to build up this lip a little bit and then darken that little bit underneath, because you've got the shadow on top of that tooth. So that's just that little bit before we finished. Now we are going to work around Matthew's hair, and this will really start to pull the drawing together. I'm in two minds. Like, I could actually smooth a lot of the cross hatching, but I think I'm going to leave it and just do a full kind of cross hatch sketch rather than smoothing with the kitchen roll. And so now we're going to start on the hair, and we're putting in the darker shadows. So I'm just using the flatter tip of the 2B pencil, and a lot of this is being done purely with the 2B pencil. And so here you can see we've got this darker shadow, and it comes up, and again I'm filling in this shadow, and it's the lines that are left in between that are kind of like the highlight lines, but I'm doing it as if I'm brushing the hair. I'm going in the direction that the hair actually flows. And if you think like that, it just makes it so much simpler. So that's your best way to kind of think about hair. Now we've got this tousled hair that comes down, so now I'm using the tip of the pencil, those long lovely strands of hair that are just cascading down the side of Matthew's head. But you've got those bits in the shadows behind. Now we've got the hair that comes down from there on his, over his ear, and we've got a much darker line into this kind of shadow by his jawline, where the hair just comes close to his face. Now you can see it just crisps up and frames the face really nicely. So as we come down, we've got a darker shadow there, just some as the hair cascades down. Then we've got some highlights. Again, now I'm just twisting the pencil, getting the sharper tip, and that's giving me some nice kind of strand of hair lines. And I'm just doing this really, really quickly. Again, you can spend days on hair. I'm just going for an impression. And his hair is very tousled and messy, and that's a great thing to just be expressive with. But again, I'm still just working in the direction that the hair actually grows. Come right down to this bit at the bottom. And we can just build up more and more detail. So here we've got 3 kind of strands that come down. We've got a highlight on the top. So again, that just goes up. And then we come to where the hair joins the side, and we've got, so I'm using the soft flat of the pencil, and you've got that softer tone underneath where you're going to have these detail lines. So I'm now going to bring this softer tone all the way across the hairline where it joins the forehead. Got a darker line there as that comes over. And again, bits on the side of his head, on the right hand side. It comes down, and we've got the dark. But we're leaving that highlight, that's the top of the arm of Matthew's glasses going up. And then the dark again, soft edge touching. Now, got dark going up the right hand side of his head. Again, you're just pressing on. This is all with a 2B pencil. It's been a while, but it shows you the versatility of a 2B pencil. What you can actually do with one pencil alone. But again, using the other grades is a good thing. Yeah, it's just techniques. So now we've got the dark at the back. It's much darker. And you've got the mid-tones coming down to that highlight at the front. Some darker parts there. And this is just great. You know, to be able to do this, it's such a joy and a pleasure. And seeing people who've learned these techniques and then applied them to their own portraits and done family members and friends, it's just an absolute joy. And that's how you learn. And if on my time lapses, there are 2 of babies, Jedediah and Penelope, Salt Mountain. And pretty soon I'm going to have to do number 3. We have no name and we don't know whether number 3 is a boy or a girl just yet, but I will have to do. There is a space. They're just friends. They're just best friends in their children. It's just a joy to be able to do these kind of things. And for me, like I say, this is why I want to teach you people how to draw. It's such a joy and a blessing. And like I say, I can do that for a friend. And you can do that for people. And people have said, you know, oh, it's been great because they've done whoever for a relative, a brother, a sister, a mum or something. They've done them a drawing. Either of one of the direct lessons, or they've used my lessons, learned how to draw, and then done a picture themselves that they've then given as a gift to a family member. Recently it was Mother's Day, and people were saying, yeah, I'm going to do this for my mum for Mother's Day. Absolute joyous, wonderful things that people have been doing, and that my lessons have helped people in that way is an absolute privilege and totally wonderful. So again, I'm just filling in this ear, darkening that down right to that dark of the hair. So here now we're going to come down right to the collar. We've got the dark there up to his cheek, I'm being careful next to the cheek. I'm going up to the ear. We've got a little highlighted bit of hair there, so we've got to leave that, and then there's another one above it. We've got these wonderful shapes. But you can see already now, just by putting these darker and mid-tones in, Matthew's face is really starting to leap off the page. And that's absolutely great. So, here we have the hair coming up the back end. Now this, I haven't sharpened this at all, I've literally just kept turning it round and putting these thicker lines on. And that's absolutely fantastic. Now, just sharpen the pencil. Now I can start adding these nice hairs. Now I've sharpened the pencil so I've got a long point, but I'm using the flat. And you get these lovely, wide, soft coils of hair. Brilliant for that. And you get these soft wispy bits that are at the back that are just coming off. Just pressing on lightly but using the softer part. So now I'm filling in the tone at the back. Again, just using the softer part. And it's just lovely to be able to do that. Again, on this side now, using the soft edge. And we've got this lovely, rather than a sharp point, you've got this soft pencil that's been dragged over the paper, and you get that lovely, lovely effect and soft broken tone. And that's looking rather splendid. So now I'm going to come in. Oh no, yeah, we need to do this first. So I've done all the outer parts, but I didn't do the bits next to his hair. Now you will notice the very top of the reference photo is a bit fuzzy and a bit blurred. And that's because I just had to do a screen grab to fill in the top of his head from the image that was the YouTube thumbnail. But we know, we can see here, so we've got, now I'm using the tip of the pencil. And I'm getting all of these exact hairlines, but going in the way. So here you can see we've got a bit of a V of dark, that the hair is brushed. So again, I'm just twisting the pencil to keep it sharper. And this is just how good and simple it is to build up the detail of somebody's hair. It's quite interesting because people say to me, oh, you know, will I do a hair tutorial? It's like every portrait. If that person's got hair, you're going to get a hair tutorial. So just skip to the hair bit if you want to just have a go. If that's how you want to practice, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Just learn how to do hair. Go through the different sections in my videos on hair. Now, on this side, we've got the hairlines going over, but obviously we need to just carry some of these up into the top. It doesn't matter if some of them cross over, because that's how hair is. So there we have a lot of those hairs all built in. So now, just for consistency, I'm using the flat of the pencil and I'm adding just some dark up to the back there. And that's looking rather lovely. Now we come in with the putty rubber. And I'm coming into the hair and I'm just indicating the large highlights. And just pulling them off. And you can see already how well that works. It just starts to give more reality and definition on the hair. This is coming over, right the way over the top. And I have to keep twisting and kneading the eraser just to pull it up so as I get a nice fine point. It'll then pull off the pencil as I need it. To give me the highlights that I want. And that's what gives us the bounce in the hair. It's the highlights that are reflecting on the thicker strands that are more clumped together. And that gives us more reality and more realistic, lifelike hair all the way down. So you can see it's much lighter on this side than it is on the right side, so we just got to pull off more. And that's how we get the detail. So again, I mean, you can go as quickly or as slowly as you like. And if you want to do very hyper realistic hair, then you have got to be spending days just doing the hair. But that's very worthwhile if that's the level of detail you want to go to. Absolutely brilliant. But this whole tutorial is going to be somewhere, I think, between 3 and 4 hours. You would have to spend 3 days just on the hair if you want to be that kind of a person who does the hyper realistic art. So now we're coming down on the dark part on the right hand side. And that's looking really, really lovely. Now again, you can use paint, you can use kind of correction fluid there for highlights. You can use all kinds of stuff if you want to add highlights. But I've done these, and I will be trying the correction fluid Tipex Pentel do some. I'm just going to try. I think that one I bought is Tipex. I'm going to have a go in the future at something using that to give me some sharper highlights. But again, it's just all choice. You can choose to do whatever you like. Now I'm going to come in with the blending stump, and I'm using this just like a pencil, and it just allows me to push the tone around a little bit inside the hair around those highlights that we just pulled off. And we can make it look more like hair. Again, you just keep adding more tone as you need to. And again, you get the soft effect using this. And it's just another way of creating effects on your drawing. So again, this section is just primarily the hair. And it's just great to be able to do this, because you can see now it's really framed Matthew's face, giving us a whole new dynamic in the drawing. So here we've got that lovely slight highlighted tone. We can just increase that. It's the kind of sun bleached look in the highlights of his hair. Kind of looks like surfer's hair. Again, just increasing the highlights now down the left hand side again. Again, there comes a point where you just go, yep, that's enough, done them now. And you move on to the next bit. I'm just adding some highlights. Just keep on really pinching it, getting some sharper highlights. I'm now going to use the Tombow. Because this gives me really nice, you can see straight away, getting nice line erase marks. That give me the impression of fine strands of hair that are lit by the sun. But again, I'm doing it in the direction that the hair grows and is brushed. And that's really making that start to come alive. Now, that is truly lovely. Highlight going up the top. So again, now on these, in this darker area, this just allows me to pull out some of the highlights in that darkened bit that are the way the hair cascades. And this is the beauty of using different, so you never think of an eraser to correct mistakes. It's literally a drawing tool. So now coming back in with the blending stump, and that just softens either side of the highlights on the curls. Just put some darker shade in, and again just smudge it a little bit. And that's how simple you can create the tones and the textures of the hair. So that's looking really, really lovely, really good so far. Again, we'll just carry on building the detail up. Now, I'm going to come in and I'm going to use the blending stump quickly. Now, we've got some tone on it, but that's a bonus. Again, I'm using this like I do the pencil, and it's going to give me really nice soft tones over the cross hatching that we've done all over the face. And I'm coming in, I'm going across the top, so it's kind of a little bit of a dark tone just inside the hair there on that tight, so you've got a bit of a highlight. And I'm just twisting it around, just being very, very careful, just letting the weight of it do the work. Again, I'm literally, like I was using the pencil, using it as cross hatching. So now here we've got this dark tone going up the side of Matthew's head all the way up. And this is personal choice. You know, you don't have to use something like this. You can use, again, you can use a kitchen roll. You don't even have to do it. You can just let the pencil do all of the work for you. So, just darkening the tone down, but it's just softer. So you, in a way, you're kind of smudging the pencil around. That's already there. So rather than just using the scratching of a pencil, you are using the blending stump and you're just pushing the pencil around even more. That's absolutely lovely. So now we come down to the nose and the cheek. And then coming down the jawline, up the edge. You can see you've got that nice highlight on the side of his cheek. Now I'm going to use the tip, and that intensifies the shadow in the corner of that crease line. Coming up the nose, underneath the nose, just reflected highlights again, just slightly increasing it. That's looking absolutely lovely. And this is why I really like these as a drawing tool. It's quick and it makes it look very photorealistic very, very quickly. Again, if you want to be absolutely hyper real, you've got to spend days. Again, the side, right hand side of his nose coming down underneath the nostril onto the skin of the upper lip, and then coming over. We've got to put on all of the bits of Matthew's little stubble that's showing. Then we got this corner piece. So again, we got the corner of the mouth, that laughter line, kind of dimple crease coming down to the chin, the edge of the cheek, and then inside we've got a slightly darker tone with a highlight kind of either side. This is where you're using this in exactly the same way as you use the pencil. That's looking really lovely. I hope you're having fun. I'm having an absolute blast. Now, inside the glasses. Again, I'm just going to gently do around that highlight. The nose. Just need to soften that highlight a bit. Oh, hang on, we've got to do the chin down here as well. So we come down. Off the chin. Coming up to the mouth. That's looking really, really lovely. Again, the side of the neck coming down. Just build up that tone right next to the shirt. Corner of the neck. Just going up to the top of the head. That's looking great. Again, just right in on the shirt, right next to the skin, slightly more intense. Then we just need to feather that out a little as it comes down over his neck. Again, right up in this corner, we can just bring over the dark underneath the chin in that triangle, and that's what frames it. And that looks really, really lovely. So now, I don't know where the handle is to... I've got an extension for this. I'll have to try and find it. It's just disappeared. Anyway, I shall find that later. So now we need to do the same inside the glasses. And this gives us the kind of tint that we need. And you can see already that's just completely and easily softened the lenses and just made it look lovely. So again, we're in the darker part on the right lens, coming underneath the right eye, and then you got the creases coming across his cheek. And then up the side of the nose just darkens down. That's really, Lovely. I am just so enjoying this. Just hope you are too. His lips. So now we're going to come in and I'm just pinching up the putty rubber, and this will hopefully bring the paper on so I don't smudge it with my hand. This is hopefully going to pull out a lot of the image. So we've got the highlights going over the top bar on the glasses. As that comes around the corner, on the hinge, down the side, and it comes around under the bottom, and then we've got a sharp highlight all down this side. That comes down soft to the bottom. You see that just helps the glasses to stand out. But waiting till now to do these highlights means all the work, it doesn't matter that it's been slightly smudged over, because this is where your details are pulled up. Coming down the edge of the glasses, that hinge, then up the inside of these glasses. So again, that's worked really, really well for us. But now what we need, so I'm just pulling this to a nice kind of fine point. I've just touched the highlights, but I'm now in the glasses. We've got all of these little highlights. So in exactly the same way that I did with the pencil and the blending stump, I'm just gently touching and pulling up the highlights. So now in the tear duct, over the top of Matthew's eye, the reflected eye, I'm just dabbing very gently the upper left part of the eye socket, top of that lens, creases on the cheek on this side. And you can see it just starts to really pull. The life into the eye. This reflected part next to the tear duct. Oh, nearly lost the pencil. And there's just highlights reflected down the lens, and you can just touch. I'm just dabbing with the putty rubber. That's the highlight at the top of his cheek, on the outside as well. Again, just really pulling up the putty rubber to a point. And so all around the lower eyelid, the creases, got little highlights. Just pulling that off. Just dabbing carefully and gently, and it gives us more reality on Matthew's eye. So again, coming over in the tear duct, and then the lower eyelid, a little bit on the eyeball, and that just helps it. All just look that little bit more alive. Highlights in the top of the lens. And that's how you get the effect of the glass. It's just a case of just being patient, waiting, and you fill in a lot, and then it just looks really lovely. So again, on the right hand side of his face and his eye, pulling out the highlight. There's that highlight going down to the tear duct. And then there's some kind of reflected glare on the lens going to the side, up. Got a really sharp highlight in the corner of that rectangle of light, and the same on that side. Then you've got this bright highlight coming off the lower eyelid. There's a kind of reflected highlight. And then coming down the side of the lens to the centre, just got a little pool of light. I'm just pulling it off, just using the putty eraser. Just makes it nice and simple. Highlight inside the lens there. But this is where you get to be creative even with an eraser. Again, it's iris, just making that one a little bit lighter. Same on that side. And all of a sudden, that is looking truly, truly lovely. And we've got this funny little shape highlight underneath with a strong point. Now, what we need is some of the highlights on the top of his nose. That's the kind of stronger point, the end of his nose. Coming up the bridge of his nose, I'm just dabbing, just touching gently. And that then kind of allows some of the freckles, the side of the nose, coming down the top of the lip, the reflected highlight underneath the nose. Again, just touching gently, just dabbing as I move it around. You see already, like, his nose is now totally leaping off the page. this cheek. A little bit in that crease there. Mouth coming down. Highlights on these creases by the side of his mouth. Side of his cheek. Then we've got the top of his lip. That comes over. Then we've got the highlight, how it goes over on the right hand side. And the centre bit underneath his nose. Again, I'm just dappling on the side, and then when we put Matthew's whiskers in, that'll all help. Crease there on the side. Now that's looking absolutely fantastic. Edge of his chin. There we go. That's looking really good. Again, reflected highlight on the side of his nose. Just come back in with the blending stump. A little bit. Then we want a highlight on his, so I'm just getting a long, like I did on the glasses, just a long piece because I just need to be gentle and not take off too much. Got the highlight on the lip. Just how it comes around on that little bit. Then just cleaning the teeth up a little bit. Lovely, absolutely lovely. I'm just cleaning the edge of that shirt up a bit. We will do some more on that. But that's looking really great. We're nearly there. I hope you're having fantastic fun, because I am. Now we are on the home stretch. So I'm just going to use the blending stump to bring that tone back down and increase the darkness. And this is just how you add in your details. So this is the highlight that kind of comes across the glasses. It's got a darker line underneath. And then there's this funny little shape. And again, we've got the dark of Matthew's eye right in the corner, around the iris. Just adding little darker tones. And that reflected highlight. So now on the underneath of the glasses. Really build that dark. Coming all the way down on the lower part, curves up, past the hinge, then on the bridge of the nose, down the side where that connects with the nose, same on this side. It just helps the glasses to really stand out. Again, just going over the crease lines of Matthew's right eye. It's dark underneath that little highlight. So now, same on the left-hand lens. Can increase the dark coming down. As that comes around. And then I'm using the very tip of the pencil for the edge, very, very carefully, darkening that edge down so as to not obliterate the highlight that we put in. Then a little where the weld is, a little dark reflection point. In the corner of his eyelash and eye socket. Now I'm just indicating some of his eyebrows. This is where we get the fun part. Top of the glasses. Again, the nostrils, just darkening that a little bit. Corner of the mouth. It's just about, all you're doing is increasing the tones that you need just to make the drawing complete. And again, that's just lifted the glasses. And so now we're going to use the tip of the pencil and we just quickly, you got to look, I'm just spinning the pencil and we're adding the little stubbly bits. Now again, you could use the propelling pencil. I probably would if I was doing the full portrait, you know, the one again, you'll see some I've done, some various people. There's one of Harry and Meghan. That was quite a interesting one to do with all the wedding dress lacy bits. And I use the technical pencils to do those fine technical details because I know, like at the moment, I'm just twisting this to put the stubble in. So as I've got the sharpest point of the tip of the pencil all the time. So now coming down, just some little bits underneath the lower lip. But then we've got the chin. And that then goes up to the side of his mouth. And then we've got the bottom part of his chin. So I'm just using the soft, I'm very softly putting this line on, not a sharp, dark line. And the same for the background crease. Just darkening it down that little bit. And then adding some whiskers over the top. And we want to go up this crease line. There's a few up the side of the cheek there. And again, rather than, I'm just being impressionistic here. Meanwhile, there are some people who spend days and days and days, and that each hair will be in exactly the right place. That cheek's got a crease line in it a little bit more. Just increasing that shadow a little bit. Corner of the cheek coming down. And that's looking really good. Now you could have even not bothered with the little stubbly bits, but it makes a difference. So again, on this side we want to increase the shadow on the jawline, but it's very soft. And then we can add the stubble. Come over, we come down. Some little stubble bits in the corner. Coming down on this crease in his cheek. And you've got this entire section down here where his stubble is. And because we put those little highlight parts in first, the stubble goes over the top and it just blends together. But this is how quick you can just whack this on and indicate it. Nice and quickly. And again, it's just a nice way to add nice final details to a relaxed portrait of someone on holiday. It could be a relative on holiday and you could do this as a surprise for them. And again, just building up some of the details that you need to. So That's the stubble going down. There'll be a little bit just kind of underneath showing on the neck, so you can just indicate a bit and that's fine. Then we've got this dark shadow on the shirt and the same on this side. Now the shirt in and of itself, you could leave it, that would be quite funky. But I'm gonna just draw these lines back in. And we can just increase the shadow. And you can actually leave the shirt if you want. Or you could just very, very, very quickly, whoops, bounce the pencil. You can very quickly just whack in some pencil lines, nice and impressionistically, just to fill it in. Got that semicircle, the light underneath it. Coming down, we've got the collar. So again, I'm just quickly filling in a lot. So that's just quick general tone. Coming in with the kitchen roll. Just smooth out some of that quickly, and you can kind of indicate where some of the extra shadow is, but you can do that very easily. Then come on top with the pencil. You've got the shadow of the collar as it's folded over. You've got this shadow that comes around, then you've got the creases on the edge of the buttonhole fabric, and you want darker underneath where the collar goes under the hair. And this is just very, very quick, impressionistic. Drawing shadow coming round past the button. Shadow caused by the collar. Now again, we've got the actual stitching on the collar. Shadow from the top. Again, this is very loose and impressionistic, just because we're getting to the end. And we could have left the paper, but it just add some fill. But if you left the paper, that's kind of quite arty. But I like doing this, and again, it's nice and impressionistic. But we then come back in with the putty rubber, and we've got some strong highlights. You can just pull out the buttons. And you can do nice broad strokes, and it just gives it that kind of cotton feel. So again, the edge of the collar, and then where it comes down on the edge. Then you just soften the tones back, and then the highlight going up. And that is looking rather Lovely. So again, these are now just final details. Just pulling up highlights. And just dabbing. Then we've got on the head, up at the top, we've got some little lines, crease lines with highlights on. By the hairline. And just come in with the kitchen roll. Just smooth some of that back in. That just gives us some nice texture on the skin. And then in amongst, I'm just dappling in amongst the stubble that we put in, because it just gives it that extra little dimension. And eventually you come to a point where you just have to go, yeah, that's it, that'll do, we're done. But like I say, I'm just tweaking and looking. That's really, really lovely. Highlights on the teeth. On the chin underneath. Again, just final pulling up highlights, reflections in the glasses. And that, I think, will do. We could just say, all right, all right, all right, it's done. I hope you've had fun. I've had an absolute blast drawing Matthew McConaughey. I hope you have too. Please do like and subscribe for the next lesson. And I hope you've had an absolute load of fun drawing that. Again, just great to do a simple portrait. I know people say, oh, they're not that simple, but it is. It's just, this is a simple photograph. This could be a family photograph. You could do this for family, for friends. I hope you've enjoyed the lesson. See you in the next one. Take care. Ta-da.